The Toby Gribben Show podcast.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Toby Gribben Show podcast. Don't forget you can listen to the full show live at shoutradio.org.uk and all of the clips right here on the podcast. Anyway, enjoy the interview.
This is Sheila Shoiga from Ready to Be Real. Pampers have come up with a solution to help avoid those dreaded punamis as their new Stop and Protect pocket sits at the back of the nappy to help prevent those dreaded leaks from travelling up babies' backs. Their 360-degree fit stretches and is designed for no gaps, offering up to 12 hours all-round leakage protection. Their side seam is also now easier to tear, meaning they're even easier to change on active bobbas, so why not pick up a pack today and relax with your little one without interruptions.
Doc is with us here, who's the CEO and founder of Genetics NFT. How are you doing today?
Good, Toby. Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, and we're grateful to finally have you here because the roads are very busy in LA today, aren't they?
Yes, very. I don't know if anybody listening to this has ever been to the city, but it is horrible. There's a reason Elon Musk wanted to build tunnels through the ground here.
Yeah. Is it like that every day then? It's not just today of all days?
From 2020, I guess I would say March of 2020, when the first lockdown occurred in Los Angeles, to right the first time they ever opened it back up, you could get 15 miles in a traditional 15 minutes. But normally, before Corona and before lockdowns, it would take about 45 minutes to an hour to get 15 miles in the height of the day in city limits. Wow. And now we're really getting right back into that, if not worse. It takes about, it takes me 2 hours to get from my farm to downtown Los Angeles, and it's only like 60 miles.
Wow. In certain situations, if it's a really short journey, you'd just be better off walking.
Walking, flying, like anything.
You might as well.
You could catch a ride in a homeless person's golf cart and probably get there quicker. I mean, shopping cart.
Yeah. Now, you're the CEO and founder of Genetics NFT, as I mentioned.
Yep.
What actually is Genetics NFT?
That's one of the reasons I've been looking to hire PR individuals, because it's so complex that there is not a short way to explain what Genetics NFT is. But essentially, we are a tech company specializing in cryptocurrency and non-fungible tokens. With that, we have a special focus on the cannabis industry, the legal cannabis industry, and what it takes to be a cannabis entrepreneur. No matter what sector of the cannabis industry you want to enter yourself into, whether that is a model for big brands, or you are an extractor and you have a passion for concentrates. You could be a graphic designer or an artist and do everything from packaging to murals on big locations and of cannabis brands. And there's a market for all of these things that I'm speaking of, and so much more. And there has been for decades, even before cannabis was starting to be legalized across the board here in the States. That being said, there has never really been a platform for people to come together and not just access resources and build off of one another, but to be able to learn and share information with one another and not be afraid about sharing that information because it may be leaked and you wouldn't be compensated for your technique. Well, that's where the blockchain technology comes in. And we can get into that. We can talk about what NFTs are and what genetics does with NFTs. But, essentially we're a tech company bridging the gap between non-fungible tokens, cryptocurrencies, and the cannabis industry and education of it.
Yes. So let's talk about what NFTs are, because there will be a large number of people listening who perhaps have never heard that acronym before.
Yeah. An NFT is a non-fungible token, and you can purchase these NFTs using cryptocurrencies. Most common right now in the NFT scene is Ethereum or Polygon. We are an ERC 721 token. So that's the fancy way of saying we are an Ethereum NFT project. An NFT pretty much means that it cannot be copied, and the owner of that token is forever recorded on the blockchain. When they owned it, when they sold it, when they purchased it, all of that. So, when it comes to art and when it comes to something that is non-fungible, there is a forever record on the blockchain of its prices, who owned it, and where it came from. So, I strongly believe, and so does a good portion of the internet in the world, that Web3 technology and NFTs and cryptocurrency are the future of our civilization. And they are going to, make it so influencers and entrepreneurs and people do not have to rely on these very large platforms like Instagram and all of these other Web2 social media platforms to get their name out there. Web3 and NFTs allow ownership directly to the creator or to the team of creators. And, that's a very simple way to explain it. I could talk for hours on it, guys. And if you guys have any questions about NFTs ever, you're welcome to ping me in the Discord server, ping one of the team members, and we're happy to answer you. We also have a cryptocurrency section in the Discord server where these questions are answered all the time.
Yeah. So how do you actually manage to link that to cryptocurrency and cannabis? Because I guess maybe cryptocurrency is a similar thing. It's part of the same interest, but cannabis is not.
Yeah, it's a tangible thing. You can hold cannabis in your hand. So, how do I align the two is a great question. And, this is an idea. So I minted my first NFT at the end of 2018. And I had the infrastructure for this idea of what genetics is and its main utility. And in 2017, I had come up with this. It was not Web3 based. Nonetheless, the groundwork for this idea has been in my possession for about 5 years now. When I minted my first NFT in 2018, I realized, the full potential of this technology and what it can really do. And, to understand how I integrated cannabis with it, you'd have to know a little bit more about me, and we can get into that here in a few moments. But how I brought cannabis into Web3 and into NFT technology is by offering unrivaled utility to our holders.
Yeah.
A holder is an investor. That is someone that owns one of our NFTs. They cannot access these utilities, or, for better words, perks of the community and of the project unless they own one of these NFTs. And it's not a manual verification method to prove ownership. That's what is so beautiful about Web3. Everything is trustless, and it's done with smart contracts. So we know who owns one and all of that. That being said, when you own a genetics NFT, you have access to so many utilities, but the main one being is cannabis genetics. So what I mean by genetics is seeds. And why we are able to offer that almost globally to our holders is because cannabis seeds do not fall under plant nor flower legislation, because it's neither. And it also contains 0 THC in the seed itself, because it needs to be germinated to produce the cannabinoids. Furthermore, cannabis seeds are recognized and acknowledged by multiple governments worldwide as being taken as health supplements or vitamins swallowed. So that being said, I have a very extensive legal team here in Los Angeles, and I've been working on this for a long time. As I mentioned, I've had this fully vetted, and we're able to use those variables that I just explained as a legal way to provide and send real life straight to our holders' front door cannabis genetics every 90 days that they own one of our NFTs on a per NFT basis. Now, the genetics, the seeds, they don't come from Genetics Tech Co. They don't come from Doc or anyone on my team. We have what we call cannaffiliates, meaning we work with the largest cannabis brands and powerhouses in the entire legal industry on a global basis. A few of these names, for example, are Cookies, Sherbinski's, Hollow Tips, Doja Pack, Bloom, Caviar, Myco, etc. Now, to be a part of the genetics NFT from a cannaffiliate side, these companies have to provide 5 genetics that they can indefinitely provide for life. Seeds, the strains that they created, that built their brands and got them to where they are today using their knowledge to do so, which is also integrated into this project. We'll get there. Nonetheless, every 90 days, you obtain seeds in the mail from one of these cannaffiliates. Now, there are a few no-ship zones, and they're mostly in the Middle East. If you are a holder in a no-ship zone, you are automatically granted our native token every 90 days. You can use our native token to do so many things. It's integrated into our Discord server. You can use it to buy things in the Genetics University and our metaverse, which we call the Cannaverse. Like I said, we'll get there. Yeah. You can use it to purchase an early reveal of your NFT art. We reveal our NFTs every 100 minted or sold. If you don't know what that means, like I said, feel free to ask us any questions in the Discord on terminology. Yeah. We have a lot of utilities. Our main utility and how we brought cannabis into this technology is creating code that reads our users' wallets on a 90-day period and verifies not that they just own a genetics NFT, but which genetics NFT they own. Now, the amount of seeds they obtain on a 90-day period is per NFT, and furthermore, it is per the rarity score of your NFT. And I know I'm getting a little complex here, but I prefaced that at the beginning of this interview, Toby. This is it's a very complex. It's a tech company oriented around NFTs. So, complexity and tech companies go hand in hand. So I do appreciate all of the listeners for bearing with me and trying to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So what sets Genetics NFT apart from other NFT projects?
Well, a lot of NFT projects to date don't offer a lot of real life utility and use cases. They offer a lot of digital utility, not all of them. The good ones offer a lot of digital utility, but when it comes down to something that you can hold in your real life, that you can show your family members, or you could build your own business and your own brand with, there's not a lot of projects out there in the space right now that not just supply those tools, but provide a community with those resources. So, genetics sets ourselves apart from every NFT, every cannabis NFT, and really every normal business in the cannabis industry, because of how much we are able to offer our community and our holders through my business model and through my personal net worth. We are able to develop things on a very high-end level. We do not need our investors' money to continue developing. As I just briefly mentioned, I have a pretty sizable personal net worth. We can talk about me here in a few moments. Yeah. But, everything in scope here, genetics provides so much use case for our community. You can learn everything about the cannabis industry, from cultivation to distribution to retail management to laws and licensing. And we do all of this not through textualized content in our Discord server or on our website. As I just mentioned, we have the Cannaverse. It is a free realm metaverse world that with the main economy and the capital building in that metaverse world being the Genetics University, which is a cannabis industry college in our own metaverse. So there are college institutions all over the United States and really all over the world that educate their students on botany and on genetic sciences and chemistry. And also, as we know, there are college institutions that provide business classes, business psychology classes. There's art schools. All of that is in our Cannaverse, in our Metaverse University. The Genetics University has integrated all of that and then put it on a cannabis industry level so that you're not just learning about business, you're learning about cannabis business administration. You're not just learning about art, you're learning about...
This is Sheila Shoiga from Ready to Be Real. Pampers have come up with a solution to help avoid those dreaded punamis as their new Stop and Protect pocket sits at the back of the nappy to help prevent those dreaded leaks from travelling up babies' backs. Their 360-degree fit stretches and is designed for no gaps, offering up to 12 hours all-round leakage protection. Their side seam is also now easier to tear, meaning they're even easier to change on active bobbas, so why not pick up a pack today and relax with your little one without interruptions.
Meet our urgent care team at the new VHI 360 Health Centre Carrickmines. Doctors, nurses, radiographers and specialists who work together to treat your minor illnesses and injuries. Visit vhi.ie. VHI Healthcare DAC, trading as VHI Healthcare, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Art in the cannabis industry and how to apply your hand-painted mural to Mylar packaging. I could go on and on, but from the digital value, our entry point, our mint price, the tangible utility of the seed drops combined with the metaverse and the college classes, with the community that we have to offer and all of those resources, we are unparalleled to any project and really any cannabis business.
Yeah. Now let's very briefly talk about you. How did you actually get interested in NFTs and cryptocurrency and cannabis? I mean, were you interested in them all, or did cannabis maybe only come about because you wanted to do something with NFTs?
So yeah, I'll give you guys the quick rundown. I have a documentary coming out here in the next 6 months with 110 Media, where it really goes into depth about my whole story. But short version is in about 2007, 2008, maybe, back when Minecraft was only about $5. You could only use PayPal to buy it from Mojang's website. Yeah. I was a nerd, and I found Minecraft. I got involved in Minecraft, and skins and mod packs or texture packs, were very big. And so I decided that I was going to teach myself Java and how to create those texture packs. And from there, I got really involved in online forums and communities, and I taught myself Java in about 3 months. Wow. And made a very large name for myself on the internet selling Minecraft texture packs. I just got involved in the whole vendor side of services far before, I don't know off the top of my head when Fiverr or Upwork was invented, but before that it was forms and listings for graphic designs and coding, and you talk to people on Skype. And I was young, and I got into the scene before there was a scene, and then something called Liberty Reserve caught my ear. And that was, I'd say, probably very early 2009, maybe the end of 2008, which, for anybody that's interested in what that is, I'll give you a quick rundown. Liberty Reserve was technically the first digital currency, the first cryptocurrency. It was on centralized servers, however, it was not decentralized, and it was hosted in Costa Rica. Liberty Reserve ended up being used mainly as the method of transaction on deep web marketplaces. But when I caught ear of it, I found it on a forum, and someone said, there's been people like Warren Buffett and people talking about digital currency since the 90s. I think I just found the first one. So, I bought that. And that was in the, I gave you the timeline, early 2009. About a year later, I would say, the National Security Agency, the NSA, seized Liberty Reserve's domains and their servers and took it all down and arrested the founders for, money laundering and all this stuff. And it's actually a big misconception, and that's why I'm bringing this up in this interview. It's a big misconception in the public world about cryptocurrencies, scams, and such. And, it's backed off of a very small fact that not a lot of people know, is that on paper, the first cryptocurrency was Liberty Reserve, and it was shut down, and they were all sent to prison. But we cannot control people, and we also have to understand that that was a centralized cryptocurrency. It was not decentralized with trustless technology on the blockchain. But anyway, when it was seized, I, was infatuated with the idea of digital currency. And over that last year, I had just dived into anything I could find on the internet explaining what it is or the powers it could potentially have. And then the only one I ever knew was taken away. Shortly after, I start hearing about this thing called Bitcoin. And I bought Bitcoin essentially probably the day it was available to purchase, or maybe a few days after that. And it's kind of funny, back in the day, there was no mainstream platform for purchasing cryptocurrency. You had to wire cash to foreign countries of people that had these miners and hope that they sent it, So, but I did, and I got into Bitcoin very early, and I was fortunate for that. And, I lost far more Bitcoin than I now am lucky enough to say that I have. Yeah. And I've learned so many lessons when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And I've also very educated myself on it in the last, decade. And short answer is I've always been involved in this since before there was even a scene for one on a mainstream level to be involved. I was already there. And I heard about NFTs in 2017 because I heard about OpenSea. I watched that for about 8 months. And I was like, okay, this might be something. I really like it, but I don't like any of this art, and I don't like any of these things that are offered right now. And then 2018 rolled around, and there was a project I really liked what they were doing, and I liked their art, and the vibes were good in their Discord server. So I decided to purchase one, which is called minting an NFT. And, that's really when I entered the NFT scene. I already had Ethereum. I was lucky enough to get in on Ethereum when it was around $60, $70. So yeah, short answer is I've always been involved in the cryptocurrency side of things and in programming and in web development. However, my real life growing up, my social life and in my environment growing up, my father owned tech stores, cell phone stores, pretty much my whole upbringing. Unfortunately, he lost everything in 2008 through 2010. And, I've been on my own, and everything I've ever had since I was 14 years old, I went out and got it myself. But up until then, we had a pretty good life, and I was always around technology, but furthermore, I was always around entrepreneurs and other business owners and people that were constantly pushing my father forward and pushing me forward. I just got into sales, and I learned the game of golf strictly to, land a deal. And that was just the environment I grew up in was tech and entrepreneurship. But I was also lucky enough to grow up in a rural area. And when my grandfather died when I was younger, we inherited a large farm. So we grew up in agriculture as well. Before he passed away, Toby, my family and I, we were at the farm all the time. And, the country life was nothing but normal to us. So I've had that instilled in me for a very long time. I have a work ethic of work until the job is done to the best of your abilities or better. And that comes from the backbone of a more blue collar upbringing. But I was also fortunate enough to have that blue collar environment with a father in a white collar field. So I had a lot of, access to those work ethics and marketing, and I'm a self-taught everything. I did not finish college. I met my wife in college, and she graduated, but I started a marketing firm and it took off. I ended up selling it, but I didn't graduate college just because I really didn't see a need for it for me personally. But I have been involved in this stuff for a very long time, and the last variable of answering that question would be the cannabis side of it. About 7 years ago in full, I've smoked cannabis every day for a long time. But about 7 years ago, I got involved in the cannabis industry and started using some of my net worth to invest in cannabis companies as a venture capitalist. And then, I did that for about 2 years and really learned the ins and outs of everything that I really already knew a good amount about, and I perfected in my sense. And you can always be perfecting yourselves more, guys. But in my sense, I became a master of that trade and what it takes to survive in the cannabis industry and as a cannabis venture capitalist. And I decided that I would like to retire from everyday day trading and venture capitalist investments to having my own cannabis cultivation operation. And I for 3 years grew cannabis and I loved it. It was my passion. And it made me feel calm and complete. And, I decided when I wanted to go public with genetics and develop this business and go full-fledged with this, because this is a 50, 100, 200-year brand in the making. It's a day in, day out job. I'm up until 6 a.m. every day. I have a wife and a daughter. I balance a lot, and I'm trying to build this to last forever. So essentially what I'm saying is I came out of retirement to do this, and that I don't do anything not to the best of my ability. So cannabis is my passion, but cryptocurrency and this technology in itself is my home. And I decided that I am resourceful enough and connected enough to these very large companies and celebrities and musicians and versed enough that I can make this happen. And that's really what got me to where we are today.
Yeah, that's certainly a story there. Well, where can we check out Genetics NFT if we're interested in it?
So if you go to geneticsnft.io, that is our website. That is GENETICSNFT.io. That is our website. From there, you can find a lot of information as well as our wiki. So, Wikipedia, but we built our own wiki for genetics because it is so complex. It required a Wikipedia essentially. And if you guys want the full technical rundown from roadmap, tokenomics, our native token, the team information. Our artist, by the way, guys, he works in big tech. He did the code for the Amazon augmented reality features in the Prime app, as well as led the development team for the Amazon Alexa smart home machines. And, he is a developer in big tech by day and a phenomenal 3D artist by night. You guys can go learn all about him. You can learn a little bit more about me on on there, and the Discord team information. We do a lot of giveaways, guys. Every single NFT drop, we give out a designer dog, a Frenchie or a pocket bully. Every single time we drop a new piece of art, we will also give away a designer dog valued of up to $15,000 from my best friend's kennel, High Caliber Kennels. Go follow them on Instagram right now. But we give a dog out to one of the holders. So one of the investors, if you own one of those NFTs, every single time we drop an NFT, you have a chance of winning this dog, and we will bring it to you anywhere, or we will bring you to us and help you get it anywhere. They're fully registered designer dogs. Aside from that, we do a lot of fun, engaging things. We have game nights every Tuesday. We have Ethereum Call of Duty tournaments and poker nights. So you win some ETH for winning Call of Duty tournaments or a poker night. We have a question of the day every single day. You can find all of this information at geneticsnft.io. Follow us on Instagram, GeneticsNFT, or on Twitter at NFTGenetics. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Thank you, Toby, for having me. I know this ran double the time, but I really appreciate you letting me talk to your community and be here today. Thank you.
For children of Ukraine, innocence is in the firing line. Your donation will give them food and first aid, water and warmth. Visit unicef.ie to have an immediate impact now.
The throbbing pulse of sound. The Toby Gribbon Show.